Hello there. Today we're reading 6 fun pumpkin stories, perfect for fall and Halloween. Let's get started. It's the Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown. Every fall, the leaves on the trees turn brown and fall off the branches. Pumpkins grow big and plump in their patches. The air grows cooler and people start to think about their Halloween costumes. And every fall, Linus writes a very important letter. Dear Great Pumpkin, Linus writes, I'm looking forward to your arrival on Halloween night. I hope you'll bring me lots of presents. Who are you writing to? Asked Charlie Brown. The Great Pumpkin, Linus replies. On Halloween night, the Great Pumpkin rises out of the pumpkin patch and flies through the air with his bag of toys for all the children. Linus's sister, Lucy, isn't happy that Linus is writing to the Great Pumpkin. You'll make me the laughing stock of the neighborhood, she complains. But Charlie Brown's sister, Sally, doesn't think Linus is crazy. She thinks Linus is wonderful. He is her sweet Babu. Wouldn't you like to sit with me in the pumpkin patch on Halloween night and wait for the Great Pumpkin? Linus asks. Sally is thrilled. I'd love to, she tells Linus. Later that day, Charlie Brown has a surprise waiting for him in the mailbox. I got an invitation to a Halloween party, he exclaims. Lucy thinks the invitation must be a mistake. There were 2 lists, she tells Charlie Brown, one to invite and one not to invite. Charlie Brown knows which list he was probably on, but he decides to go to the party anyway. On Halloween night, everyone is planning to go to the party except Linus. My blockhead brother will be out in the pumpkin patch making his yearly fool of himself, Lucy grumbles. She can't understand why Linus would choose to miss out on all the fun that Halloween has to offer by sitting around in a pumpkin patch. Everyone puts on their costumes. Lucy is dressed as a witch. Charlie Brown is dressed as a ghost, but no one can tell what he's supposed to be because he had some trouble with the scissors. Sally is also dressed as a ghost and so is Schroeder. They figured out how to use the scissors just fine. Pigpen is dressed as a ghost too. Everyone can tell which ghost he is because a cloud of dust surrounds him. Snoopy walks by, also dressed in a costume. Who in the world is that? Asks Lucy. He's a World War I flying ace. Charlie Brown explains. Now I've seen everything, Lucy says. Lucy declares that everyone will go trick-or-treating first and then go to the Halloween party. As they pass the pumpkin patch, Linus sees them and gets excited thinking they've come to wait with him. Have you come to sing pumpkin carols with me? He asks. You blockhead, Lucy yells at her brother. You're gonna miss all the fun, just like last year. Don't talk like that, Linus cries. The Great Pumpkin will come because I am in the most sincere pumpkin patch. Oh, good grief, Lucy explains. She marches off with her friends. It looks like no one wants to join Linus in the pumpkin patch to wait for the Great Pumpkin. Except, what about Sally? Sally is torn. She doesn't want to miss out on all the fun of trick-or-treating and the party. But Linus is her sweet Babu. What should she do? Sally runs back to the pumpkin patch. I'm glad you came back, Linus tells her. You'll see the Great Pumpkin with your own eyes. Linus is positive the Great Pumpkin will pick this patch. Why wouldn't he? The Great Pumpkin chooses the most sincere patch to visit every year. And how could a pumpkin patch be more sincere than this one? Sally hopes Linus is right. Meanwhile, the rest of the kids go trick-or-treating. Tricks or treats, money or eats, they yell at the first door. Everyone compares what they got. I got 5 pieces of candy, brags Lucy. I got a chocolate bar, explains Patty. I got a quarter, says Violet happily. I got a rock, says Charlie Brown sadly. And that happens at every door. All the other kids get wonderful treats like candy, gum, and popcorn balls. And Charlie Brown gets rocks. Lucy decides they've done enough trick-or-treating and it's time to go to the party. After all, everyone has a bag filled to the brim with treats. Everyone except Charlie Brown. He has a bag full of rocks. On their way to the party, they pass by the pumpkin patch again. The kids laugh at Linus and Sally for waiting there instead of coming to the party. The great pumpkin will be here, Sally yells, defending Linus. After all the kids walk by, Sally turns to Linus. "All right, where is he?" she asks. "He'll be here," Linus assures her. "I hope so," Sally replies. "Think of all the fun we're missing." And the Halloween party is a lot of fun for everyone except Charlie Brown. At first, Charlie Brown thinks his night is looking up when the other kids ask him to be the model for the jack-o'-lantern. That sounds like a great honor. But then he realizes that being a model means having Violet draw a pumpkin face on the back of his head. Meanwhile, in the pumpkin patch, Sally is growing tired of waiting for the great pumpkin. "If anyone had told me I'd be waiting in a pumpkin patch on Halloween night, I had said they were crazy," she complains. Just then, she and Linus hear a rumbling noise. They see a shadow emerging from the pumpkin patch. "It's a great pumpkin rising out of the pumpkin patch," Linus yells. He is so excited to see the great pumpkin that he faints. But it isn't the great pumpkin after all. It is just the World War I flying ace on his way back from a very important mission. Linus wakes up and asks Sally what happened. "I was robbed," howls Sally. "Halloween is over and I missed it." She stomps out of the pumpkin patch, leaving Linus alone to wait for the great pumpkin. Linus falls asleep waiting, and later that night, Lucy comes to bring him home and tuck him into his warm bed. The next day, Charlie Brown tries to make Linus feel better. "Don't take it too hard that the great pumpkin never showed up," he tells his friend. But Linus doesn't feel let down. "Just wait until next year," he tells Charlie Brown. "I'll find the most sincere pumpkin patch and I'll sit in that pumpkin patch until the great pumpkin appears." And that is the end of the story. Pumpkin Hill. There once was a pumpkin, a lonely pumpkin that grew on the brink of a great green hill. The sun shone and the rain fell. The pumpkin grew and grew, larger and orangier and plumper, till one fine day it broke from its vine and roly-poly down the hill. The pumpkin hit a stone and curse-blacked. That was that, or was it? The pumpkin seeds lay on the soft, fertile earth, which soon wore a blanket of snow. In spring, the farmer came with his horse-drawn plow, scattering the seeds across the great green hill. But he and his wife could not agree, barley or corn, alfalfa or hay. So the hill was left unplanted, except for the pumpkin seeds. The rains came, the sun shone. The seeds grew into sprouts, the sprouts into vines, vines with leaves, leaves and flowers, flowers into roly-poly pumpkins. But since no one came to pick them, they withered away, except for the pumpkin seeds. In spring, the farmer plowed once more, tomatoes, potatoes, turnips. His hill remained unplanted, except for the pumpkin seeds. Sun and rain once around again, sprouts, vines, roly-poly pumpkins, which withered away, except for once again in the spring. The farmer plowed, but didn't sow. Little did he know he had no need. Beneath the soil, a crop was widely planted, those hardy little pumpkin seeds. They grew in sun and rain, from small green lumpkins into round, fat pumpkins. Because the farmer lived on the far side of the hill, he did not see that the land had turned a bright orange, with a mass of roly-poly pumpkins. There came a mighty wind, the swirly kind. It blew the vines into a tangle. It sent the pumpkins rumble-tumble, hurtling down the great green hill. The valley town was wakened by a roar as loud as thunder, as thousands of pumpkins thumped and bumped down the slope. Behold, a golden avalanche? Traffic jammed, shops shut. What a delightful disaster! The pumpkins banked pedestrians and ricocheted off walls. They rolled into the marketplace, tumbled all the vegetables into a giant tossed salad. Pumpkins rolled into canneries and stalled conveyor belts. Cried the workers, "This is more than our cannery can can." One could not help but chuckle to see uppity folks struggle with those most unruly roly-polies. Who could stay a grouchy grumpkin among those jolly bumping pumpkins? The mayor called a meeting. What shall we do with this preposterous predominance of pumpkins? Make jack-o'-lanterns, cried the children. Remember, it's almost Halloween. So the mayor decreed that each citizen must take home a pumpkin to carve. But when all had claimed their share, a plethora of pumpkins still lined the sides of the road. The children cried, "Make pumpkin pies." All Hallows Eve at moonrise, the whole valley glowed with the grins of 6,000 jack-o'-lanterns. The night air wafted the scent, spicy and sweet, of 3,005 pumpkin pies. Children dressed as ghosts and goblins paraded on the green. Each held a candled pumpkin. What a blazing Halloween! The farmer apologized for causing such a mess. The frazzled mayor shouted, "No more pumpkins." The farmer and his wife talked head to head. Then he announced to the crowd, "I'd like to set aside my great green hill for all these children. They can run here, they can hide, ski slide or pony ride. They'll grow healthy, they'll grow tall on this land that I will call Pumpkin Hill. A propitious solution," said the mayor, "for our pumpkin pollution." Then the mayor imposed a harsh punishment on anyone who scattered pumpkin seeds. The guilty one must gobble 15 pumpkin pies within a quarter of an hour. That is the reason why on Halloween, after carving grim faces with fire-lit eyes, children sought to roast and eat for supper or snack those perniciously prolific pumpkin seeds. And that is the end of the story. Pete the Cat, 5 Little Pumpkins. 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "Oh my, it's getting late." The second one said, "There are witches in the air." The third one said, "But we don't care." The fourth one said, "Let's run and run and run." The fifth one said, "I'm ready for some fun." Hoo, went the wind. And out went the lights. And the 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. Happy Halloween! And that is the end of the story. 5 Little Pumpkins on Sesame Street. 5 little pumpkins on Sesame Street were ready to go out and trick or treat. They grabbed their bags and they skipped out the door to meet with their friends at the stoop once more. A ghost said, "Scram! Stop sitting by my gate. Go somewhere else to play and celebrate." The first one said, "Oh yes, it's getting late. We want some candy. Me no can wait." The second one said, "There are witches in the air. Wave hello to the twiddlebugs way up there." The third one said, "My costume has a tear, but I shall go on bravely. I do not care." The fourth one said, "Let's run and run and run. Or let's dance and twirl." So they left and spun. The fifth one said, "I'm having so much fun. Did we visit all our neighbors yet, everyone?" Ooh, went the wind, and out went the light. The fourth little pumpkin dropped her basket in fright. The other pumpkin said, "Zoe, it will be all right," as her Halloween basket rolled out of sight. 5 little pumpkins on Sesame Street together shared every Halloween tweet sweet. Happy Halloween! And that is the end of the story. It's Pumpkin Day, Mouse. Mouse has 7 pumpkins to decorate. Mouse paints a happy face on this pumpkin. This pumpkin is sad. This pumpkin has a silly face. This pumpkin looks surprised. One of the pumpkins is missing. Eek! What is that? Boo! Dog made a scary pumpkin. Now it's time to make friendly pumpkins. Happy Pumpkin Day, Mouse! And that is the end of the story. Too many pumpkins. Every year at springtime, Rebecca Estelle planted just enough seeds in her garden to grow vegetables for the long winter. She planted carrots and beans, tomatoes and peas, corn and rutabagas. She grew a little bit of everything except pumpkins. Rebecca Estelle hated pumpkins. When she was a little girl, money had been scarce. For an entire month, all there had been to eat were pumpkins. Baked pumpkins, steamed pumpkins, boiled pumpkins, stewed pumpkins, mashed pumpkins, rotten pumpkins, breakfast pumpkins, lunch pumpkins, dinner pumpkins, enough pumpkins. When things finally improved and there was more money to buy food, Rebecca Estelle decided she would never eat pumpkins again or even look at one. Not ever. And she didn't. Until one autumn day, long after Rebecca Estelle's hair had turned snowy white, she was raking the leaves that fell each fall from her black walnut tree, and her cat, Esmeralda, was scattering them just as quickly. All of a sudden, the pumpkin truck passed by. Oh, she heard it coming and she knew what it was. It rumbled by at harvest time every year. She turned her back and concentrated on picking up the last fallen leaf. She managed to ignore the truck until splat! An enormous pumpkin tumbled off the truck and smashed into slimy orange smithereens all over the edge of her yard. "Come back here and get this pumpkin," she yelled, but the driver sped away. "Well, I won't touch it," Rebecca Estelle insisted, getting her shovel from the barn. "And I won't look at it," she added, as she shoveled dirt on top of the pumpkin pieces. "I won't think about that pumpkin ever again," she declared. And she didn't. Until spring, when Rebecca Estelle was admiring the new sprouts in her garden, she noticed Esmeralda playing in some big green leaves growing at the edge of the yard. "How curious," she said, going over to inspect them. "I didn't plant anything there." Then Rebecca Estelle remembered the pumpkin truck and the slimy pumpkin smithereens. "Pumpkins," she cried in disgust. "Come out of there, Esmeralda. I will not water those plants. I will not tend them. I will ignore them and they will die." She picked up Esmeralda and stomped inside, but a week later, when Rebecca Estelle peered out her window, she saw that the vines had grown. She tramped to the barn, got her garden tools, and went to work on the pumpkin vines. She cut and dug until not one was left growing. "There. Now there will be no pumpkins," she smiled and went back inside. But the next week, when she was weeding the garden, she noticed that the pumpkin vines had grown back. Rebecca Estelle marched inside and snapped the curtains shut. "The only thing to do is ignore them. They won't grow if I don't take care of them," she muttered. So rain or shine, all spring and summer, she never looked out the front window. She used only the back door and never even glanced towards the vines. Neither did Esmeralda. Rebecca Estelle ignored the vines so well that in time, she forgot why she wasn't using the front door. Until one autumn day, when she and Esmeralda went to rake the leaves that fell each fall from the black walnut tree in front of the house. "Pumpkins!" Rebecca Estelle shrieked. Pumpkin vines had twined under the bushes, over the birdbath, through the porch rails, and onto the rocking chair. The entire yard was a sea of plump, round pumpkins. Rebecca Estelle could no longer ignore them. She plopped down on the pumpkin nearest her, putting her hands over her face. "Whatever will I do, Esmeralda?" she cried. "How will I get rid of this many pumpkins?" She thought and she thought. Her mind went back to all the pumpkins she had eaten as a young girl, when pumpkins were the only food her family had. "Well, we can't let them stay here," she told Esmeralda. "Some people might need these pumpkins, and I suppose there are folks crazy enough to like them. We'll give them away." She marched off to get her wheelbarrow. Rebecca Estelle struggled to lift the first pumpkin, then the second and the third. She huffed and she puffed as she wheeled the loaded wheelbarrow into the lane. She huffed and she puffed as she wheeled the loaded wheelbarrow into the lane. "I'm too tired to deliver these heavy pumpkins now," Rebecca Estelle grumbled. She mopped her brow with her apron and wondered what to do next. "Perhaps if I make them into pies, they will be easier to deliver. Such a nuisance." So she went to work. She scooped the slimy seeds out of the pumpkins and cut away the shells. After she boiled the pumpkin meat, she mixed it with eggs, milk, sugar, flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves to make rich pies. Then Rebecca Estelle made pumpkin tarts, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin cakes, pumpkin bread, pumpkin pudding, pumpkin cookies, until pumpkin dishes spilled out of every cupboard, drawer, and cubbyhole, and the seeds were a mountain in the corner. "Well, that's the first batch," Rebecca Estelle said, dusting her floury hands. "Now to deliver them." She put the wheelbarrow outside the kitchen door, then loaded it with pumpkin treats. When it was full, just the thought of delivering all those pumpkin dishes made Rebecca Estelle tired. "If only people would come get them," she said. Then she had an idea. Rebecca Estelle whirled around and hurried back into the house for a kitchen knife. "This should get people to come," Rebecca Estelle cried. She took her knife and sat in the middle of the pumpkin patch. She carved a smiling face on a nice round pumpkin, a scary snaggle-toothed face on a tall thin pumpkin, and Boo on a short squat pumpkin. She was so busy carving pumpkins, she hardly noticed how dark it was getting. When she could no longer see, she went to the shelf on the back porch and got the sack of candles she kept for emergencies. "If this doesn't get people to come here, we'll have to deliver them all ourselves," she muttered to Esmeralda. "Boo!" Rebecca Estelle peered into the darkness for a long time. She didn't see anything. Still, she watched until finally she saw a light, faint at first, then brighter, and then more lights bobbing through the night. "Here they come," she shouted. "Esmeralda, let's heat some apple cider." Young and old, everyone in town came. "Rebecca Estelle, we thought you hated pumpkins," they said. "We saw your jack-o'-lanterns from the end of the road and came for a closer look." "I was hoping you would," said Rebecca Estelle. "Where did you ever find all these pumpkins?" people asked. "I came by them quite by accident," Rebecca Estelle said, smiling. "Would you like some pumpkin pie?" "There's plenty," she winked at Esmeralda. Everyone enjoyed the pumpkin pie and cider and had a good time. So did Rebecca Estelle, and when they were ready to go home, she made sure each carried a jack-o'-lantern, a bag of seeds for roasting, and a pumpkin treat. Rebecca Estelle gave away everything that reminded her of the pumpkins she had always hated, until all that remained was a handful of seeds. Those she took snugly into her pocket, where they would be safe until planting time next spring. And that is the end of the story. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.